Okay, so for today's video, I want to jump into a quick one about Rachel Reeves and her pre-budget, I guess you'd call it a warning or a forecasting. Basically, she let tell on the problems that have been set up without any of her input, of course, and how she has to act in the best interest of the nation with the upcoming budget on the 26th. So I guess you'd call it a scene setter speech. Quite why she did it, and no chancellor's ever done this before, quite why she did it is beyond me. It's been reported that around 20 billion actually got wiped from the stock market within hours of her doing this. I had a look at my crypto yesterday. That had tanked quite a bit more than I would have liked. So it can be argued that her doing this speech didn't really give anybody any inkling as to what's coming. It set up a raft of excuses and finger pointing, and it ruined the economy even more so than it is now. No chancellor has ever done this before. Quite why she felt the need to do it, I think, goes some way into showing that she's probably not going to be chancellor for much longer. So essentially what she said was that we all need to contribute. And she said that she faces the world as she finds it, not as she wishes it were. The rough translation that I make from that is brace yourself. That there are going to be tax hikes, there are going to be broken promises, massively so, and the economy is on extremely shaky ground. And, the stock market showed that. Today, I want to unpack why this moment really matters and what problems it's also about to unleash on the UK. So Labour's manifesto pledge said very clearly no rises in income tax, VAT or national insurance. And yesterday, Reeves refused to rule out any of those. Now, why does this matter? Well, for a start, it's trust. And trust is the currency of politics, or at least it should be. That pledge was the deal that she and Keir Starmer sold, and probably a large part of what made many people vote for them. If the deal breaks, then voters are going to feel cheated. And that really matters, because when voters feel cheated, everything else becomes unstable. It obviously rocked the markets, and confidence in the UK now is at an all-time low. The pound has dropped to its lowest in 7 months. Right after that speech, investors and markets are now stood up and paying attention. Tax rises, they equal slower growth. They equal higher borrowing costs. When the public senses that something's coming, they stop spending, which means the government brings in less tax. It was an absolutely mong move that she did this speech yesterday. Big retailers are already warning of problems, and this creates its own drag. Basically, the government says that we need to act. So now, having done this, she's making the economy act about 3 weeks before the budget. And that's a massive risk. There's a risk of unintended, self-inflicted slowdown. And, who's going to pay for this? Well, Reeves repeated, each of us must do our bit. But who exactly is us? When taxes go up to fill the budget gap, someone pays. We know that big tax breaks for wealth avoidance remain. We know that public services are already stretched. So raising taxes now means one of two things. It either means you pay more for less, or services are going to get worse because the funding's going to get cut. Neither is good. So it's the cost of living versus public services. That's what I get from this. The Chancellor says priorities are the NHS, the cost of living, and national debt. But those are the same priorities that have been failing for years. When you promise to fix them and then raise taxes to pay for them, you're asking people to believe in better while at the same time telling them that things are going to get tough. Now that's the political triple whammy. You know, higher tax, slower growth, fewer services. Nobody wants that. It's going to cause political risk to go through the roof. It's going to create huge instability, more so than we've seen in the last 24 to 48 hours. And this moment is hugely risky for this government. Analysts are already saying that this tax warning or scene-setting speech could be the making or the breaking of this government, let alone the Chancellor in her role. Backbenchers, business leaders, even voters are sweating right now. If people withdraw confidence, the whole political platform shifts. This isn't just about economics. Right now, it's about survival. There is a bigger structural issue here, something that Reeves emphasised. She said that the budget problems are not just due to today. They stem from years of economic mismanagement. So we're talking low productivity, low growth, and high debt. So raising taxes now may well fill a hole, but it doesn't fix the underlying drain. It just means we're paying for past mistakes, not building for future growth. And it causes problems, so basically this scene setting, it's going to cause consumer pullback. People are going to now delay spending because they know invariably that things are going to get worse. Businesses are going to pucker up because there's now uncertainty. Firms are now going to hesitate to invest when they're almost certain that tax rises are going to loom. You've got political disillusionment. Voters who believed the promise and would have remained Labour voters almost certainly now feel shortchanged. Where are they going to cast their votes? Conservatives are probably not an option if you've been a Labour voter, so they're going to go to Reform. Labour and Rachel Reeves have literally now helped the enemy, or their enemy. And there's a growth risk. Higher tax and weaker confidence equals a slower economy. All of this happens before the budget is even landed. So it will only get worse. What should be in the budget but might not be? Given this warning, the budget needs to do more than tax rises. There needs to be real stimulus for productivity, things like education, things like infrastructure. There needs to be safeguards for low-income households so they don't bear the brunt. There needs to be a clear path for growth, not just consolidation. If it only hits the tax side without growth measures, the fix is going to feel like going through all that pain for nothing. So what does this mean for you? What does it mean for me? Well, if you're watching this and thinking, so I'm going to pay more, get less, and effectively see no change, then I think you're not wrong. Reeves's announcement was honest about the mess. She wasn't really that honest about how it got there. She was happy to point the finger at everybody except for her last nearly 18 months as a chancellor. But this budget will be less about ambition and more about survival. And when a government shifts from the promise they made to pay up, you need to ask, who's paying up? Because, and this is deadly serious, when the Chancellor says we must all contribute, we need to ask, contribute to what? Contribute to more mismanagement of funds? Contribute to more misappropriation? Contribute to more money flying out of the country and going overseas? Contribute more to paying for people that are entering the country illegally? I mean, I'll wait for an answer, but the answer is that, quite simply put, things are very clearly about to get a lot harder for everybody in the UK. So what are your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously drop it in the comments, let me know. I feel that Britain is literally, as I keep saying, on the precipice of either a civil war or some kind of revolution that's going to completely redefine how we do Parliament and do taxes moving forward. I think everything is going to come to a head very soon. And that's not fear-mongering. That's literally just looking at all of these different elements of British life that are falling down around our very ears. So drop it in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. YouTube is going to put another video up there. Like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, all that jazz. And there'll be another video tomorrow. Goldman, peace out.